Nathan Broad's suspension should have been longer than 3 matches. Once the police ceased investigating Nathan Broad and he returned from Bali to face the music and admit what he had done, there was little doubt in the minds of the AFL and Richmond what had to be done as a result. The 24-year-old defender did not deny claims from a woman he photographed topless wearing his premiership medal that he had passed around the photograph to a social media group without her consent. Nor did Broad deny that the woman in question had every right to believe the photograph had been deleted at her request. Involving other Richmond players or other individuals in the investigation proved messy and complex and, given the original transgression by Broad and its significant reach, also largely irrelevant. He had to be suspended, not anonymously fined, and the game had to take a stand on Broad's horrific breach of trust, which saw the woman's shattered Richmond supporting father approach Brendan Gale shortly after the grand final and demand the photograph be taken down. Of course it was all too late. The AFL and Richmond say the only obstacle in punishing Broad was revealing his identity because he and the woman already had a relationship of some form and she was alarmed not naming him would identify her. Fairfax Media was warned by her legal team Maurice Blackburn when the story first broke and again last week against naming Broad, saying they feared for her well-being. That changed over the weekend, and although all parties on Monday insisted the punishment and its announcement, coming at the end of what has been a most unusual and highly sensitive investigation, was mutually agreed to, heavy-handed media management certainly played its role. The negotiation saw the woman come to understand that a public apology from Broad and a Richmond-instigated penalty would hopefully put a full stop on the speculation and, again hopefully, help her start to return to her normal life. Personally, I think the suspension, ultimately ratified by Gillan McLachlan and decided by Andrew Billen and his team at the AFL along with Gale, Neil Balmy and Daniel Richardson, could have been longer. Having predicted 2 to 4 games for Broad, with the player being banned for 3, my view is 4 to 6 would have been more fitting. But in football terms this punishment could prove more devastating for him than it first appears. Not only does he miss the flag unfurling round 1, the round 2 grand final rematch along with round 3 but, given his performance-related contract, the associated match payments as well. And then comes the battle to regain his spot given the list of challengers led by Oleg Markov and Ryan Garthwaite. Broad was a great contributor to the premiership, only his 12th game for the Tigers, but he will have to fight to return to the side now. Not to mention that he will have to live with the disgraceful deed he committed by violating the woman's trust. And then thrusting scandal on the entire club at a time it could have hoped for some unfettered access to scrutiny-free celebration. Quite apart from the trauma he inflicted on an innocent woman, Broad has created some murkiness around the premiership. In the end, Broad had to be named because he had to be punished and you can't anonymously suspend a player. Also, not naming him was casting suspicion on undeserving teammates. Whether, as Paddy O'Neill stated with as much hope as conviction, there will be lessons learned from this damaging cautionary tale remains to be seen. As she spoke along with Broad at Monday's televised media announcement, Channel 7's Almost Live report used half its screen to feature the topless photograph, albeit censored, in question. This as Broad urged people to stop sending around the photograph. The 7th decision demonstrated yet again that he acted so irresponsibly in unleashing a monster that fell out of his control weeks ago. The insidious nature of social media and the profound and crippling effect it has had on young people's lives and lifestyles is explored in a disturbing new film starring Elizabeth Olsen, Ingrid Goes West. Closer to home, delisted bulldog Travis Cloak, driven to distraction and a mental health breakdown due to hateful anonymous attacks, suggested in a radio interview on Saturday that he may have become addicted to social media and that ignoring Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat and so forth was not as simple as it sounded. He likened the addiction to alcohol and gambling-related illnesses. Photo theft is not new to the AFL. Brendan Fevola did it to Lara Bingle and Nicky Wald deals with his own horrendous invasion of privacy in his new autobiography, when an end-of-season photograph showing a part of his anatomy along with 2 teammates was downloaded and sent around without his knowledge or consent by the so-called schoolgirl. Trust has been an issue in relationships for an eternity, but the stakes are so much higher now, as the woman who probably thought she was sharing an intimate funny moment with a friend has found out. And despite some irrelevant and inaccurate finger-pointing, this has occurred through no fault of her own.